Alright folks, welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Don Father. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and leave the bell on so you don't miss any of our future uploads. The link to this original video will be in the description section below, as well our Patreon, Instagram and our merchandise, etc. So check all that stuff out in the description section. So then, we're reacting to BOATLIFT, an untold tale of 9/11 resilience. It's an HD video, so it should be good quality. It was recommended in the comments section to a previous video I have done. It's gonna probably be a bit of a tearjerker. We all know the significance of 9/11, the impact that it had on the world, not just that day but thereafter. It changed the world, really, didn't it? The loss of life was just horrendous. The effort, the clear up, the effort to try and save people trapped, all these different things, it was just one of the most chaotic, frantic, tragic events ever. The biggest act of cowardice terrorist the world has ever seen, and it should never be forgotten. But this is a story I'm actually not familiar with. I'm not sure if many Americans will be familiar with it, or many people in the world will be, so it's a new one for me. I can't wait to hear it. I'm not going to mess you about any more talking. We're just going to get stuck straight into it then. Let's go. A hero is a man who does what he can. Very true.
I thought I was watching a movie, Towering Inferno at first. And then I looked real close and I noticed it was the World Trade Center. I was compelled, because I'm a type of person that can't stand by and watch other people suffer. And to me, they were suffering. They wanted to get off the island. And there was no way for them to get off the island other than the water. And I had noticed when I was watching the television, I saw a lot of, the ferries going up into the slips and taking people off. I said, fine, we could do the same thing. I could take people on my boat, get in there, take them where they have to go. And that's what we did.
That harrowing image of the plane, that's actually the second plane on its journey into the second World Trade Center.
On the morning of September 11th, when the towers came down, millions of people ran for safety. Hundreds of thousands of them ran south to the water's edge. That's when they realized that Manhattan is indeed an island, and that they were trapped.
Wow. Now, this is something most people from outside looking in don't think of or don't even realise. Manhattan's an island. Obviously, all the roads are probably chaos with emergency services coming, and you can imagine how frantic it was. People trying to take control, but even the people taking control have never came across something quite as severe as this. There would have been panic. As I say, the people that you would look to for control are also probably panicking. Let's be honest, it's a human reaction that you just can't help when you see something so awful like this. But there's no way out, and you just want to get away from it. You're seeing all these terrible things and you just want to get away, but there's no way out. You're trapped. That just adds to the fear and the panic, as I've just mentioned.
They were feeling helpless. And that's the worst feeling in the world. What was a person on the ground going to do? Buildings were down. There were people laying under the rubble of the building. Firemen, civilians. My wife was there, and I turned around. I says, I've got to go do something. Just like that. And she looked at me. She says, what are you going to do, you maniac? I says, I'm going to take the amberjack up into the city and help. She says, but what if they're attacked again? I says, well, then that's something I have to live with. I says, I have to do what I have to do. I says, and nobody can stop me right now. Even if I save one person or I rescue one person, that's one person less that will suffer and die.
They were trying to evacuate Manhattan because nobody knew what was going on. You know, you didn't know if something else was going to happen. It was just, you know, a madness on one side and, you know, and wanting to help people on the other side.
They were just streaming out of the buildings. And the first mode of transportation they saw was a ferry boat. That's when they knew, this is how I'm getting out of here. So they didn't even care where the boat was going.
There wasn't panic in New York in the beginning, just volume. It wasn't until the first building fell that there was panic.
Right, so I think what they're getting at there is, for people who were there that day, possibly hadn't even hit home to them. The planes hit the building, then the second planes came in. People are probably starting to put two and two together. This is no accident. But the panic then kicks in when they see what was a seemingly indestructible building fall from the sky into rubble, and everybody knew what that meant. Wow, that would have been absolutely frightening, not to mention possible links to people that might have been in the building or in and around on it at the ground, the fear of maybe have you lost someone, all these emotions going through your head, but ultimately wanting to get to safety at this point, and they've seen the boat. So it's a way out. It's a way out. It must have been a little bit of a relief within all the carnage.
You heard the building go down, but we're in the slip, so we can't see it. That's when we started letting go, and then all of a sudden, engulfed. You couldn't see anything.
Wow. People were actually jumping into the river and swimming out of Manhattan. Boats were very nearly running them over.
Wait. These people wanted out of Manhattan no matter any way they could.
Somebody wants you to go over there.
Every mode of transportation out of Manhattan was shut down. All the subways were shut. The tunnels were all closed. They closed the bridges, they closed everything immediately.
Boats, usually an afterthought in most New Yorkers' minds, were for the first time in over a century the only way in or out of Lower Manhattan.
The process that actually had already started. There were some boats that were grabbing people, that people were lined up at the walls.
On the left.
It's just human nature. You see people in distress on the seawall in Manhattan begging you to pick them up. You have to pick them up.
They didn't know what was going on. They seen the building getting hit with these two planes. As far as they was concerned, you know, we were being bombed. I was wondering if they were going to come on the boat, if they had people with bombs, or if they were going to come on. We're a big orange target in the middle of that harbor. My job is to keep the boat safe, the passengers safe, my crew safe.
Everybody was in shock, running around. They didn't want to leave their families. They had loved ones running around the city.
Anybody has a baby? Nobody has it.
There was one guy ran from the apron and jumped onto the boat. He grabbed onto the metal, climbed up right next to the pilot. So I'm going out there to say something. He slides down to the next deck. So the deckhands get him and go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm jumping for my life. So, you couldn't argue with him there.
There was a small boat that was at the lower tip of Manhattan. I thought the boat was going to flip over because so many people were trying to get on. And as I looked behind, they were just 10 deep. And that's kind of what gave us the idea.
We decided that this has to get better organized and we better do it, and that's what we did.
So we decided to make the call on the radio. All available boats. This is the United States Coast Guard aboard the pilot boat in New York. Anyone want to help with the evacuation of Lower Manhattan, report to Governor's Island.
When that call came on the radio, they were coming.
I was uncertain of who was going to respond. About 15, 20 minutes later, there are just boats all across the horizon.
Literally 100 targets converging on the lower part of Manhattan.
When we came out of that dust cloud, tugboats, I'd never seen so many tugboats all at once.
There was just like a fleet of tugboats headed to Manhattan.
If it floated and it could get there, it got there.
All different size, shapes, and forms.
Wow.
I mean, and they were zooming across this water.
Ferries, private boats, party boats.
Right, so at this point, as they've said, they've actually described them, the boats, as target boats, hundreds of them, big orange ones, but people simply did not care. They were willing to risk their life because nobody knew what was happening. Risk their life in order to save fellow people, fellow Americans, New Yorkers, and get them to safety. Where they were going to didn't really matter. Get them out of Manhattan, and they were willing to risk their lives to do it. Absolutely brilliant. I can see why they're using the word resilience now, because when you hit America, you better be prepared for America to strike back even harder. That's the sort of mentality that these people in New York were showing. We don't care. We'll help these people. We'll find out what's happened and we'll fix this.
I worked on the water for 28 years. I've never seen that many boats come together at one time that fast. One radio call and it just came together just that fast.
Hundreds of boats converged on the city, leaving the sun-bathed harbor behind them. Dead ahead, the unknown.
That was something I won't forget. It was just low, dark, acrid, black smoke. It's like there was a big chimney in Manhattan. When we pulled into Pier 11, the dust was unbelievable.
And then out of nowhere, you just kept on seeing people coming.
They looked like zombies coming through the fog, and you knew that those were human beings.
Don't leave us. Please don't leave us here. Take us. At that point, the Coast Guard said, not how many people are you allowed, how many people can you fit?
Come on, guys. Anybody coming? Get your ass over here now. Now. Come on.
Boats started hanging, literally would take a bedsheet off a bunk and then a can of spray paint and paint their destination on.
Some of these people never been in the water, never been on a boat before.
Housewives, workers that do windows. We had executives. And the thing that was the best, everyone helped everyone.
I want you to hold my hand. Come on board. Get inside. One at a time. Okay, get in inside.
I always feel that it's in times of crisis like this, when the call comes where your country needs you, or people need you, that's when you see the true decency and humanity. People step up. Doesn't matter what you work at, where you come from, what colour of skin you've got, what religion you are. When you see people in instant peril, that's when at the forefront the goodness comes out and human decency comes to the forefront, and people help each other. That's what we need to remember in times like this.
I saw 4 businessmen lifting up an old woman with a seeing eye dog, a German Shepherd, and they lifted her up like a surfboard and passed her over the handrails.
When we would carry a load of people over, and there was somebody standing there that seen their husband or wife, you know, that made us feel even better, you know. Well, at least we got 2 back together, you know. Just keep on going, you know.
The guy that works at the ferry, he's a welder. His son was on my boat. He actually came up. He thanked me.
We went back and forth all day long, carrying boatloads, as many as our boat would hold. And it's a lot of people. A lot of people.
You couldn't have planned nothing to happen that fast, that quick.
No training. This was just people doing what they had to do that day.
You forget all about what you're supposed to do, what they teach you in school, and you say, you know what? Morally, this is the right way to go, and deep down, this is what I'm gonna do.
Average people, they stepped up, and when they needed to, they showed me, you know, when the American people need to come together and pull together, they will do it.
I do feel a way honored that I was a part of it.
I was the greatest thing I ever did with my life.
The greatest day that I've ever seen in all my boating. I mean, my life on the water.
The great boat lift of 9/11 became the largest sea evacuation in history. Larger than the evacuation of Dunkirk in World War II, where 339,000 British and French soldiers were rescued over the course of 9 days. On 9/11, nearly 500,000 civilians were rescued from Manhattan by boat. It took less than 9 hours.
Wow.
I believe somebody has a little hero in them. You gotta look in. And it's in there. It'll come out. It need to be.
I have one theory in life. I never want to say the word I should have. If I do it and I fail, well, I tried.
Oh.
If I do it and I succeed,
my word, yes.
That is for me. And I tell my children the same thing. Never go through life saying you should have. If you want to do something, you do it.
Wow, that's the end of the video, and just as I suspected, it is an absolute tearjerker. It's like what they say, when something like that happens, that's when good, normal, hard-working, decent, honest, humble people, it's where you see true value in human beings. It's when things like this, it's almost like everything else that you think matters doesn't. This is what matters. And you listen to some of them men saying it's obviously one of the most terrible events they've ever witnessed, but also one of the best things that they've ever achieved with their life. Knowing, what did he say, 500,000 people, 9 hours evacuated, and they played a major part in that, going back and forward, boats, all types of tugboats, fishing boats, anything that could come in there, any type of boat was going in there and get as many people on it as they possibly could. And what that man said at the end, I couldn't echo it better if I tried. Just the point of it. Never go through life saying, I should have done something there. He knew he could go and do something, even though they did not know if there was immediate or direct threat of something else happening. More attacks, all these boats, big targets on the sea, coming there to Manhattan. Sitting ducks, if you like. They were willing to give their lives to save fellow human beings, fellow Americans, and that in its own right is heroic. Wow, just brilliant. And also I like the bits of the people, businessmen, people who were maybe in jobs that they were getting millions of dollars a year. All that didn't matter anymore. Their life, they were facing what they thought could have been death, and they were all these titles, this money that they were earning, all this egotistical stuff did not matter anymore. All that mattered was saving fellow human beings, fellow Americans. A woman with a German Shepherd, they all chipped in. That's when you see the true value in human beings is in times of peril. And it's really quite sad that it takes things like that, but I do believe that that's when everybody comes together. Like when war broke out, war breaks out around the world, the countries maybe divided politically, or certain things are happening where this area doesn't get on with that area. That is irrelevant. When the call comes to step up and play your part, most people unite and come together in these moments, and all of that is pushed to one side, all of that irrelevance. But what a touching video. It's a story I never knew. I was fighting back the tears. I'm not somebody that cries very easily, but I was fighting back the tears there. That really does hit home hard. All the stories surrounding 9/11, whether it was the people stuck on the planes, obviously the harrowing images of people jumping from the towers that day, the stories of people who were in there, there's none of it that does not move you. But what a video. Thanks very much for pointing me in the direction of that one. I hope, I don't know how you could enjoy a video about something like that though, but you saw another perspective of that day, the great effort into getting people to safety and out of harm's way. The railway lines were shut, the subways were shut, the roads were shut, the bridges were shut. This was simply the only way out of Manhattan. And as Tom Hanks has said narrating the video, this has been the first time that had been the most important method of transport for over 100 years, by boat in and out of New York. So it just goes to show how much New York, Manhattan, was stood still. Such a major city, hustle and bustle of the city. We just go through our life so aimlessly, don't we? And especially in big cities, like we're in a rat race to get here, to do that, to do, and everything just stood still. And suddenly, other things like fellow humans, saving them, getting out of harm's way became more important than getting up. I must get to my work, I must earn this money, I must go and look at this, I must go to this pub, I must go to this shop, I must buy myself this new handbag. These things go out the window and they are irrelevant. And that's what's like what the guy said, it's those things that make what the guys did on the boats seem even better, knowing human beings came together. They got to see that firsthand. People who would never have even looked at each other, never, regardless of what you were, came together, and that would have been quite moving on the day. And I'd imagine looking back at it now, it does seem like quite a special thing, a bond nearly, that they'll always have. What a video. I don't know what else I can say about it. I'm sure everyone who's watched that was moved just as much as I was. Emotional, definitely. But you've maybe seen a different side of what happened in Manhattan that day in New York, and indeed in America and around the world, because the whole world felt the shockwaves of that. It changed the landscape of the world. Obviously the Middle Eastern conflicts broke out thereafter, so quite a lot of forces from around the world, the Western forces, obviously went to conflict zones because of such terrible events such as that. So yeah, it was huge, but I hope you've enjoyed seeing, not enjoyed, I can't think of the word, through lack of a better word, you've appreciated, seeing a different angle of what happened on that terrible day. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, as I've said, and put the notifications bell on. Also, check out the link to the original video if you don't want to watch it with my ugly mug in it. That'll be in the description section below. So will our Patreon if you would like to become a patron of the channel and get a request and a personalised shout out. We've got merchandise for sale as well, and Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, and also check out the video that I launched yesterday. It's only a small video, just to tell you how you can enter a prize draw, a giveaway that we're doing on the channel for when we're nearly at 100,000 subscribers. So when we get there, I'm going to do the draw. You have to be in it to win it though, for winning Don's channel merchandise. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.